What unfolds when the proprietor of the resort is confused for merely another affluent visitor? Yaron Keller reclined in the plush passenger seat of the elegant black town car as it glided along the serpentine coastal road. The ocean sparkled in the distance, while the sun bathed the five-resort chain he had acquired nearly 8 years prior from a retiring hospitality mogul in a warm golden light. At that time, the brand was experiencing significant financial losses. Yaron had invested all efforts into revitalizing it with fresh chefs, enhanced training, and more streamlined operations. Yet again, an unsettling sensation lingered in the air. Concerns had been gradually surfacing. A handful of unfavorable reviews appear on travel blogs, including one from a seasoned traveler who asserted he was treated as an inconvenience at the front desk. A report from a guest with mobility challenges who expressed feeling overlooked when seeking assistance. Nothing solid, merely vapor. Yet Yaron understood that where there's smoke, there's often a blaze lurking beneath. He had lost faith in filtered reports, feeling there were too many barriers separating him from the reality he sought. Thus he devised a strategy. At 48, he could easily be mistaken for someone in their early 40s. He maintained a well-groomed beard, donned stylish yet pricey attire, and opted for a classic convertible to make an impression. He would make his entrance as an esteemed guest, indulging in a VIP tour of all 5 resorts. No one at the properties had ever encountered him face to face. He had always operated through upper management. In reality, it's likely that many of the staff were unfamiliar with his appearance. His facade would endure. He referred to himself as Illy. The initial 2 resorts, located in Arizona, proceeded without any issues. The team exhibited keen professionalism, courtesy, and a welcoming demeanor. The third one, located just outside Santa Barbara, was quite chaotic. The rooms were not prepared, the front desk appeared to be inundated, and the manager, a fellow named Brett, seemed more captivated by a bartender than addressing the throng of guests in line. Yaron quietly observed, taking mental notes without uttering a word. He still had 2 more resorts to explore, the 4th perched on a cliffside in Big Sur. It was the epitome of luxury, featuring cabins with infinity pools, private chefs, and indulgent spa treatments. He showed up shortly after midday. The general manager, a woman named Teresa, provided him with an exclusive VIP guest tour experience. She failed to identify him, none of them had. His fabricated persona was flawless. His assistant had gone so far as to craft a fictitious LinkedIn profile for Illy Rowe, an investor hailing from Florida. Teresa beamed with joy. This property is truly a standout, and we take great pride in showcasing its exceptional qualities. As they strolled, Yaron remained vigilant. The staff appeared hurried and somewhat formal. A subtle tension lingered in the air, an unspoken sense that something was amiss. They walked by the pool deck, where a family with a child who had special needs was gathered beneath an umbrella. The child appeared to be around 8 years old. He waved his hands exuberantly and exclaimed with joy. His mother beamed, speaking gently to him. And then it occurred. 2 employees clad in resort polos were positioned by a towel station. A shorter man with slicked-back hair nudged his companion and remarked just loud enough for Yaron to catch, "Here we go again." Yet another intense experience. A young woman with a tight ponytail let out an exasperated sigh, her eyes rolling in disbelief. What compels individuals to bring children to venues such as these? Honestly, Yaron halted in his tracks while Teresa continued her animated conversation. Gesturing towards the spa building, Yaron pivoted, strode directly over and positioned himself in front of the 2 employees. "What did you just say?" They were completely still. The man simply shrugged his shoulders. Silence, simply conversing. Yaron's gaze fixed intently on him. The woman shifted uncomfortably, questioning the appropriateness of mocking a guest, especially a child. "Our intentions were not significant. You simply voiced it, dressed in your attire, in the presence of other attendees." His voice carried a serene yet distant quality. "Please bring your manager here." In that moment they shared a glance and hurried away, while Teresa had retraced her steps. "Illy, what's happening?" Yaron glanced in her direction. "Your team just ridiculed a child with disabilities in my presence. The quality of the cabins is irrelevant to me. If this is the behavior exhibited by your team, there's clearly a problem that needs addressing. Teresa's complexion drained of color. Text, I'm really sorry, but I'm not finished with the tour yet, Yaron said softly. However, transformations are on the horizon, and they will happen swiftly. He turned away before she had the chance to respond. As the evening unfolded, Yaron settled into his cabin and found himself on the deck, gazing contemplatively at the vast ocean before him. His mind was a whirlwind. He had infiltrated the scene to investigate the grievances, yet this situation was unlike any other. This held deep significance. He inhaled deeply. He had to witness the ultimate option before arriving at any conclusions. Yet he was acutely aware that once he unveiled his true identity, chaos would inevitably ensue, and certain individuals were destined to face job losses. At dawn, Yaron departed from his cabin. He strolled across the terrain, observing the staff's interactions when they believed no guest was watching. The breakfast area buzzed with the energy of early risers. Servers glided swiftly between tables, while the kitchen door opened and closed, with a consistent cadence. He observed the anxious expressions, the way their eyes flicked toward the supervisors before they dared to speak. It was neither a whirlwind nor a serene moment. The atmosphere was charged with the sort of vibe that emanated from those merely attempting to navigate the hours ahead. A young man, perhaps in his early 20s, caught his attention as he balanced 2 trays piled high with plates. He stood tall and slender, evidently grappling with the challenge of maintaining equilibrium in both aspects. A glass slipped from the edge and shattered against the tile floor. A woman in a sharply tailored grey blazer emerged from behind the bar. Honestly, Javier. Once more I apologize, Miss Lang, he said, bending down to gather the fragments with a napkin. You're not compensated for breaking dishes. Your role is to transport them discreetly, ensuring no disturbance arises. I will take care of that. You'll step aside and allow someone skilled to take charge. Yaron advanced with purpose. He was attempting to handle the responsibilities of 2 individuals. Perhaps it's something to reflect on before you bring him shame. Lang pivoted. Her eyes roamed across him, absorbing the luxurious sunglasses, the neatly pressed linen shirt, the elegant watch. I had no idea you were observing me. He stated that he was. I will continue to observe. Lang departed in silence, leaving no further remarks behind. Javier stood there, gripping the napkin laden with shards of glass, his hands quivering ever so. Slightly, are you all right? Yaron inquired. Indeed, she embodies that essence perfectly. Does she consistently behave that way when there are guests around? Negative. Typically, she holds off until they have left. What is the duration of your employment here? Approximately 1 year. I was meant to work part-time, but due to being short-staffed, I found myself taking on double shifts. My mum is unwell, so I find it difficult to refuse at this moment. Yaron gave a single nod. What is your rate per hour? 17. There are no advantages. He moved aside, allowing Javier to resume his tasks, then pivoted and strolled down the back corridor that directed him toward the spa section. He walked past the housekeeping carts neatly arranged against the wall, where 2 women in uniform were folding towels with remarkable speed. A middle-aged woman with short curls and a noticeable limp in her right leg cast a fleeting glance at him before swiftly averting her gaze. He pushed open the unmarked staff door at the end of the hallway and entered a service corridor. He faced no obstacles. No one inquired about his identity. He navigated the back of the house with an air of familiarity, as if it were his rightful domain. The break room was small and cluttered, illuminated by a flickering fluorescent light, while a somewhat dilapidated vending machine stood in the corner. A man lingered at one of the tables, his gaze fixed on a cup of coffee. His shirt bore the word maintenance, marked with grease stains. Yaron entered the room, filled a glass with water from the cooler, and took a seat at the edge of the table. Are you involved with the pool system? Yaron inquired. Indeed, and the heating and cooling system, along with the elevator when it malfunctions. Essentially, it's anything they prefer not to compensate a contractor for. Do you receive overtime pay? The man chuckled, yet there was no trace of amusement in his voice. In theory, perhaps. In reality, they simply postponed the clock ends, and I recorded it incorrectly. Who are they? Teresa primarily, though she claims it originates from corporate. They face pressure to maintain payroll within a specific limit. Yaron gave a slight nod. Thank you. A door creaked open behind them. Lang entered the room, caught sight of Yaron and hesitated. This section is not accessible to visitors. I got turned around, he said, placing the cup on the table. I was unaware. Without a word, she simply held the door open for him. He trailed behind her as she stepped outside. That afternoon, he reserved a cabana by the adult pool, not for sunbathing but for observation. For almost 2 hours, he watched the staff interact with the guests. Many performed their duties admirably, even though the weariness was clearly visible on their faces. However, it was only when a woman in her late 60s made her way to the towel kiosk that he noticed another flaw. She requested help transporting her beverages to the lounger. The very young woman who had ridiculed the child just the day prior was now tending to the kiosk. Her gaze remained fixed on her phone. Are you able to handle 2 cups, right? I have arthritis in both hands, the guest said with a serene demeanor. That doesn't seem to concern me, does it? Yaron rose to his feet. The guest turned and ambled off, the drink cradled in trembling hands. Yaron approached the kiosk with purpose. What is your name? What is happening? What is your name? What is the reason? As I prepare to ensure you never treat another guest in such a manner again, she blinked. Such a tone is not acceptable in our conversation. He gazed at her intently, a moment of silence hanging between them as he finally spoke. I don't even know who you are. You shall. He strode directly to the front office. Teresa stood behind the counter, engaged in conversation with a concierge. I need a word, Yaron said. She nodded and led him into a small office behind the reception desk. The space was tidy, featuring a shelf lined with branded merchandise and a wall adorned with security monitors. Is everything all right? She inquired. There is an employee who made an inappropriate remark to a child yesterday and today declined to help a guest with disabilities. That makes it 2 times. She has completed her task. I will have a conversation with her. No, she has finished. If she remains on the payroll by day's end, I'm out. I've experienced other resorts, so rest assured I won't hesitate to share my thoughts openly. Teresa adjusted, comprehended, and continued with Yaron. She presents a challenge. She is reprimanding the staff in the presence of guests. I witnessed her address a server as if he were nothing more than trash. She has been part of our journey for quite a while now. She has high standards, yet she poses a risk. I understand your desire to maintain her well-being, but I will be forwarding that information to corporate. Teresa took a moment to reflect. Could you please clarify who you are handing it over to? Yaron delved into his pocket and retrieved a neatly folded sheet. He placed it gently on the desk. A printed copy of the ownership document lay before me. His name lingered at the bottom, just above the line of controlling interest. She gazed at it intently for what felt like an eternity. You are Yaron Keller. Her lips parted, then sealed once more. I've been journeying beneath the dawn's light. I was curious to observe the operations without any filters, and I must say I'm not impressed. Teresa adjusted her posture. I was unaware. I understand that's the intention. She cast her gaze downward. I will proceed with the termination of the employee. I'll put a hold on laying until the investigation is complete. Excellent. I request a comprehensive review of employee hours and compensation. If I come across another person being treated unfairly, I will take decisive action. She nodded slowly, comprehension dawning. Yaron exited the office and stepped into the open air. The sun sank lower, stretching shadows across the deck in a graceful dance. He encountered the same family as the previous day, where the boy was peacefully engaged with a toy boat in the shallow water. His mother beamed at him, blissfully ignorant of the brewing tempest lurking just out of sight. He perched on the edge of a lounge chair, gazing intently at the shimmering water. Just one more property to explore, yet this journey had already peeled back the layers of any delusions he held regarding the condition of his business. He had moved past his anger. At this moment, his concentration was unwavering. Eliminate the gap, say goodbye to depending on filtered reports. From this moment forward, he would serve as the watchful observer, lurking behind every corner by the time Yaron reached the ultimate destination. The atmosphere had changed. His stance had transformed, exuding a heightened awareness and intentionality. The stretch of highway provided him with ample opportunity for reflection, yet it did little to soothe his agitation. He was no longer content to remain a mere spectator. He had one final property to evaluate before the decisions began to cascade like a line of falling dominoes. This resort, tucked away among the towering redwoods near Mendocino, offered the utmost in seclusion. It served the needs of those desiring seclusion, including performers, artists, and innovators. A humble wooden sign indicated the entrance, while a gravel path meandered upward, flanked by towering trees. The stillness enveloped the space at once. He arrived at the front desk, using the same alias, and was welcomed by an agent whose name tag displayed the name Lara. Her tone was even, honed to the extent of feeling detached. She passed the key, her gaze averted. "Your accommodation is in cabin 12. The folder contains maps." Yaron remained silent. She remained silent, offering no assistance with the bags, no local insights, and no smile. Simply moved on to the next guest without a word of recognition. The cabin lay just a 10-minute stroll through the dense, enveloping woods. The design was breathtaking, featuring cedar walls, expansive windows from floor to ceiling, and a deck that offered a view of a serene stream. The room was immaculate within. A handwritten welcome note rested on the nightstand, bearing the signature, say of someone named Ava. He registered it in his mind. Rather than unpacking, he made his way directly to the staff areas. He no longer required approval. He wasn't assuming a role, he was collecting information. The service hall located behind the kitchen felt quite confined. A bulletin board dangled askew, adorned with old memos and a worn safety poster. Two junior staff members in housekeeping attire were meticulously folding linens at a compact table. A small woman with shadows beneath her eyes gently massaged her wrist through the layers of fabric. "Are you all right?" Yaron inquired. She gazed, upward, taken aback. Indeed, feeling quite fatigued. "For weeks now, we've been down 2 team members. Management claims they're bringing in new hires, yet it's still just the same 4 of us managing all 20 cabins." The other woman remained focused, her hands diligently folding without a glance upward. Her movements were mechanical. "Who oversees your work?" he inquired. "Rena. She's quite decent. She joins us for shifts during the toughest times." He gave a brief nod and continued on his way. In the kitchen, the team was hushed, intent on their tasks. The tall chef, broad-shouldered and adorned with a sleeve of tattoos, expertly grilled vegetables as he shouted out orders with authority. Silence reigned, with words reserved for moments that truly demanded them. The atmosphere was charged, yet devoid of animosity, simply fatigued. Yaron rested against the doorframe. "Are you the person in room 12? The chef inquired without looking back. "Indeed, quite satisfactory. This evening you will find yourself alone on that side. All the other cabins stand vacant. Is it always this understaffed around here? It seems like whenever someone leaves, there's always another departure right behind it. What is the reason?" The chef elegantly flipped the asparagus and artfully arranged them on the plate. The GM remained silent towards us. When the freezer malfunctioned, we relied on coolers for 3 days while waiting for repair approval. Due to the payroll errors affecting 4 of my line cook's checks, it wasn't resolved until he expressed his intention to leave. "That's enough," Yaron's jaw clenched. "May I ask what your name is, Dax? You've spent quite some time here, 3 years to be exact." "I remain here solely due to my proximity, as I live just 15 minutes away and prefer to avoid a commute to the south." "Who is the individual in this space that maintains the balance?" Dax gestured with the tongs. "Ava. She's at the front desk, yet she manages to handle it all. Steps in during housekeeping shortages, assists guests when Lara is unavailable, and even takes care of laundry when it accumulates. She may not hold the title of manager, yet she certainly possesses the qualities that warrant such a role." Yaron exited the kitchen and proceeded to the front office. The desk stood vacant, devoid of any presence. He lingered in anticipation. 5 minutes slipped away. A visitor entered, searching for a lost keycard, scanning the surroundings with a hint of concern. Yaron assisted him in rummaging through the drawers, tucked away behind the desk. A spare card marked 6 was discovered, and passed along, yet there was still no sign of staff. Finally, a woman entered through the side door, carefully balancing a stack of towels and a clipboard. Her ponytail hung in disarray, and the collar of her shirt clung damply to her skin. "Are you in search of someone?" she inquired. "Illyro, cabin 12. "Apologies, Lara was meant to arrive here. She likely slipped away once more." "Ava," she blinked. "Indeed. How did you find out?" "Your name has been on everyone's lips all morning. It could be excellent or it could be terrible." "It has been quite pleasant." She let out a weary chuckle. "It's nice to see that my efforts haven't gone unnoticed. You are accomplishing the tasks of 3 individuals. Today marks 4, the spa manager called out, and the laundry machine jammed, making for quite a morning." Yaron hesitated. "Have you ever considered walking away?" "I certainly do. However, I enjoy the company of the guests and have a fondness for the location. It seems as though those in charge are oblivious to the true situation." Unfolding, he gave a slight nod. "What if someone actually did? I would be utterly astonished." He lingered for a moment, then quietly slipped away as she focused on the laundry once more. As the sun dipped low on the horizon that evening, he summoned an urgent gathering. Ava was requested to assemble the staff in the back dining room. Upper management was not notified. As the employees entered, housekeepers, maintenance staff, servers, and front desk personnel, they encountered a man in a simple button-up shirt positioned at the front of the room, his hands clasped together. Ava lingered at the rear, her mind swirling with uncertainty. "This won't take long," he said. "My name is not Illyro. That was merely a facade. My true identity is Yaron Keller. I am the owner of this resort, along with 4 others that share the same brand." The atmosphere grew still. "I went incognito because I lost faith in curated narratives. I have visited every site and gathered sufficient insight to recognize that we are facing significant issues. Not alongside you. With the direction you've been shown," he gestured toward the door. "Where is Lara?" It was mentioned that she departed early. She tends to do that frequently. Beginning tomorrow, she will not be coming back. He surveyed his surroundings. "If anyone believes that's unjust, please voice your thoughts now." Not a single person did. "Let me outline the forthcoming events. Each team member will have a personal meeting with me, or a representative from my office in the next 72 hours. Your time will be compensated. I would like to receive your thoughts directly." A man sporting a maintenance badge lifted his hand. "What is the compensation like?" "Several individuals are experiencing a shortage of hours. Please provide the necessary documentation. I will ensure it is corrected retroactively without any exceptions." Ava moved a bit closer. "What about those in charge, the individuals overseeing us?" "I have completed my assessment of their performance. Several individuals will be departing. Some individuals will be given new assignments. The ones who remain will report directly to me." He directed his gaze at Ava. "Beginning next week, we will be elevating an interim manager, an individual who has gained the team's trust." She paused. "What are you implying?" "Indeed, if you're prepared to embrace it." A handful of individuals applauded. A housekeeper smiled for the first time that day. Yaron paused, allowing the room to find its calm. "This is not a solution that can be applied. Just once I shall return without prior notice. I will no longer conceal my identity, yet I will continue to observe from the shadows." He emerged into the hallway. Ava trailed behind. "Why me?" she inquired. "In the midst of chaos, you remained steadfast." She glanced down and then nodded in agreement. "All right, I will proceed with it." "Excellent. Rest assured assistance will be available to you. An HR liaison has already been assigned to this property. You will be reporting directly to me for the initial 90 days. As he strolled back to his cabin through the dimming woods, the atmosphere seemed altered. Not in a lighter sense, but in a way that felt genuine and true. The veil had lifted, revealing a stark clarity. The wounds ran deeper than he had ever imagined. Yet now it was finally in sight, and that it was possible to fix it. Yaron returned to his home office 3 days following the staff meeting at the Mendocino resort. The stillness of his study seemed more pronounced now, resembling not tranquility, but rather a sense of separation. He settled into the expansive oak desk that seldom saw his presence and flipped open the folder labeled Field Reports. Within were handwritten notes from every resort visit, each one fastened to a list of names. Those who had risen to the occasion, those who had faltered, and those whose positions required urgent reassessment. He acted without a moment's pause. He lifted the receiver and dialed his chief operations officer. He instructed to arrange comprehensive audits for each of the 5 properties. I seek an external perspective on payroll, scheduling, and guest complaint records. I expect them to be in the field within 72 hours. He ended the call and started composing formal termination letters for 3 regional managers, including Brett from Santa Barbara. He appointed 2 internal candidates to take on temporary leadership roles, both of whom had been repeatedly recognized by their teams as reliable. Among them was Dax, the chef from the Redwoods Resort, who would manage operational logistics as Ava moved into her new position. The subsequent call was directed to the legal team. A comprehensive examination of the company's disciplinary protocols and guest grievance procedures was set in motion, accompanied by a clear mandate to establish a zero-tolerance stance on discriminatory behavior. There would be clarity, no opportunities for misinterpretation when it came to ridiculing a child or overlooking a guest with disabilities. Such decay needed to be completely excised. A week later, Yaron made his way back to the big Sir property, this time unmasked. A brief all-staff meeting was requested in the staff dining room. The news had already circulated. Most employees remained silent, poised in anticipation. His gaze swept across the room until it landed on Javier at the back, arms crossed, shoulders tight with tension. This time the young man held his gaze steady. "I'm not here for any formalities," Yaron stated. "However, I must provide you with complete transparency." He paused. "I noticed how you were shouldering the responsibilities here, while others were just gliding along. Many of you put in 3 times the effort for what you were compensated, not due to a request, but out of a desire to ensure guests were satisfied. That comes to a close today." He gestured toward the exit. "Lang has departed from the company effective immediately. Her conduct towards the staff was entirely inappropriate. The same applies to the 2 employees who showed disrespect towards one of our guests and his family. They shall not come back." A handful of eyes grew wide, yet no one voiced any objections. "Beginning next week, we will be introducing temporary personnel to fill the voids as we proceed with the hiring process. Before any long-term hires are finalized, your input will be sought." He glanced at Javier and said, "If someone doesn't fit in with the team, they won't last. I have gone through your file. You've always shown up, never once taking a day off, never refusing a shift. That transformation begins today. You will transition into a full-time position with benefits, and your compensation will be modified to acknowledge the effort you have already invested." Javier parted his lips, yet silence enveloped him. He merely offered a slight nod. Yaron surveyed the room once more. "If you have felt ignored, undervalued or wronged, your voice will resonate. If your intention is merely to earn a paycheck while disregarding the respect owed to guests or colleagues, then there's no need to return tomorrow." He departed before anyone had the chance to express their gratitude. On the upcoming Monday, a fresh HR liaison made their entrance on site, accompanied by a labor relations specialist. They arrived without clipboards or checklists in hand. They arrived with folding chairs, setting them up in the break room and occupying them from morning until evening, ready to listen to anyone who wished to share their thoughts. Each dialogue was meticulously recorded, and every issue was promptly directed to Yaron's attention. Ava's inaugural week as interim manager at the Mendocino Resort was anything but smooth. The laundry machine has malfunctioned once more. A pipe has burst in cabin 4. 2 team members resigned after being requested to adhere to the established procedures, yet she approached it with a sense of immediacy, equity, and a subtle command that was instinctive to her, earning the respect of all. Yaron made an unexpected return late in the week. He failed to check in. He made his way directly to the staff area. This time the front office was bustling with activity. A fresh addition to the front desk welcomed him, presented a glass of water and inquired if he required assistance with anything. Ava had tidied up the house. He discovered her stationed behind the reception desk, diligently inputting inventory into the system by hand. "I had no idea you were coming," she remarked, rising to her feet. "That's the concept," he responded. "How is the team managing? We feel exhausted. However, everyone is moving forward now. They understand the expectations and they realize that someone is finally taking notice. Are there any concerns I should be aware of?" She paused. Additional assistance in housekeeping would be appreciated. The temp agency dispatched 2 workers, yet they failed to appear on the second day. "I've been stepping in as much as possible, but it's essential that we bring someone on from within," he acknowledged. "Is there anyone you would suggest, Michelle? She may be quiet, but her productivity rivals that of 3 individuals. She was the key to our survival last weekend." "Then promote her," she said with a blink. "Just like that, just like that." At the Santa Barbara resort, the transformation was more pronounced. Brett's absence had carved out a void, yet it was not one that unraveled the fabric of order. Instead, the staff appeared more carefree and unburdened. The bartender who once provided a diversion during busy times had taken the initiative, stepping up to manage floor scheduling and train 2 new employees. Yaron granted a salary increase and appointed her as the acting supervisor. He chose not to reveal it during the meeting. He simply presented her with the offer letter and remarked, "You've earned it. Continue onward." At the corporate office, Yaron revamped the performance review system. Incentives would no longer rely exclusively on customer satisfaction ratings or profit margins. The evaluation of every manager would be significantly influenced by factors such as team morale, retention rates, and peer assessments. Without the ability to guide others with honesty and moral principles, leadership would be impossible. A monthly anonymous feedback system was also initiated, managed by an external vendor, to guarantee the absence of any internal filtering. All staff members, regardless of their position, had the opportunity to voice their concerns, share ideas, or express complaints. He had perused every single one. As the quarter drew to a close, he reached out with a message to every employee at all 5 resorts. It was brief. "Recent weeks have revealed what is effective and what isn't. Starting now, my office is officially open for business. My expectations are well-defined. Guide with honor or refrain from guiding altogether. Handle with precision or make way. This company was created as a source of pride for me. I overlooked the fact that true pride is derived from individuals, not financial gain. I shall not let this slip my mind again. No transformations occurred in the span of a night. Staffing shortages remain a persistent issue. Complaints from guests continue to arrive, with some being reasonable and others less so. Yet, an undercurrent had transformed. At the Big Sur resort, Javier began to arrive in a crisp shirt, his posture noticeably more upright. He no longer hurried. There was no obligation for him to do so. Ava ceased to handle her own laundry in Mendocino. Michelle assumed control of the department, and in just 2 weeks, the linen tracking system achieved unprecedented accuracy compared to corporate standards, while the weekly reports ceased to gloss over issues. They elaborated on them, and they provided solutions. Yaron chose not to go undercover again. There was no necessity for him to do so. He came by frequently without warning, not to surprise anyone but to subtly remind them of his presence, still roaming the corridors, still attentive to every sound. The individual who previously managed his enterprise from afar now found himself seated among his team, and that above all else transformed the dynamics of the company's operations, not due to his insistence, but because he demonstrated its significance.